What's up guys, Andre here, and today I wanted to show you how to use Vue.js, Vue Draggable, and Laravel to add some drag and drop functionality with persistence to your web application. Let me show you with a real life example, which is actually based on a project that I'm working on. Here we have a portion of the landing page that shows testimonials. I am using Slick Carousel here, which is one of the more popular JavaScript carousel libraries. This is just the normal version. There's actually a Vue version, but I'm just using the normal one here. Originally, this was just static, and client came back and is like, hey, can I change the testimonials myself? I said, no, but let me make it so that you can. It wasn't too difficult. I just made a testimonial model. I populated some quotes, and then I made an admin backend where the client could do all the CRUD operations that they want to do. Like create a new one. You can create a new one here. This is my quote. And order is what we'll take a look at in a second. And it creates one, you can edit it, and you can delete it. And showed client, he said great. Next thing he said was, can I change the order of them? I said, no, but let me make it so that you can. So I added an order field in the database, and they can change the order here just based on editing it. Showed the client, he was happy with it. But for me, I felt like it still wasn't the best way you can do this. I mean, it's like I said, the client's okay with it because he's not going to have more than, I don't know, 10 quotes, so it's not too big of a deal. But say for example I wanted to move this quote somewhere here, we're going to have to change it to 2 or wherever we want it, and then we're going to have to bump the rest of these down. So that's kind of a pain, and I wanted to find a way to do this better such that the user has a better experience. So the best way is probably by using drag and drop functionality. So all we would do is drag the testimonial we wanted into the place we wanted it, and it would automatically make a AJAX request to the server and change the order based on where we put it in. So that's the ideal situation. So I came across Vue Draggable, which is what we'll be using here. It's based off of this sortable library, and you can see an example here. This is exactly what we want to do. We want to drag and drop, and we want to make a call to the backend. So let's go ahead and do that. Here is my project. There's already all that CRUD boilerplate is already in there. I'm not going to go over it, but I will make the code available so you guys can take a look. It's just basic CRUD 101. So, yep, go ahead and look over that. So let's get started. First thing we can do is, let's just go here. Let's install the package. Save dev. Okay. And while that's going, so what do you want to do here? Let's take a look. We want this whole thing to be a Vue component. So let's go ahead and take this functionality and make it a Vue component. So let's do that. Let's use, where is it? Assets, JS, components. Let's use the example component here. Let's open this. We're going to need that. Let's just rename this to what we want it to be. Let's call it table draggable. And let's just have some boilerplate to see if it works. Table draggable here. And let's change our app.js. It's called table-draggable will be the component name, and it's table draggable. Okay. So that's done. Let's also run our watcher, npm run watch. Okay, so that built successfully. Let's leave the backend version here and let's make a front end version. So it would be right underneath here. Let's make a front end version. So what was it called? H3. So let's name it H3 again. And let's name it Vue Testimonials Front End. And let's also insert our component that we just made to see if it's working. So it was table draggable, right? Yeah. Let's just see if that's working. So, and let's see if that worked. It did not work. There it is. Okay. So let's continue. What we're going to do here is let's try to mimic this entire table on the back end. Now let's take this in steps. So what is it called? Table draggable. Okay. So let's just paste it in here and replace the code we need to replace with JavaScript instead of PHP. Okay, so that's good, that's good, that's good. You know what? Let's first focus on getting the data inside our Vue component first. So let's just comment this out first. Table, just comment it out for now. And let's focus on passing the data in. Now, there's two ways to do this. If you were building a spa, you would probably make an AJAX request somewhere in the script to pull that data in. But since we're using Laravel already and we already have that data, we're passing it in from the controller here, right here, and the index.blade.php has it in a testimonials variable. So what we can do is we can pass it in as a prop. Let's call it testimonials, testimonials equals, and let's just pass the testimonials variable in. That should do it. Testimonials. Okay, let's check out. Nothing's going to show, but if we check out our Vue DevTools here, it has no data yet because we have to pass it in. So we pass it in as a prop, but we have to specify the prop in our component. So the way we do that is here we have something called props, and we have to specify that prop we just created. So it'll be testimonials. And don't forget the comma. And that should do it. There you go. We have an array of all the testimonials passed in. Excellent. Now let's continue working on our component and try to get to show the data that's passed in. So let's uncomment this. Now what are we going to do here? Okay, so there's a for each statement here. Obviously that's PHP, so let's remove that. And we'll replace it with a v-for directive. And we're going to iterate through our testimonials. So iterate for testimonial index in testimonials. Yep. I can never spell this. So start with this testimonial.id. And let's just get it working for now. We'll worry about the routes later. These two, we'll make it work later. Let's just try to get it in here. And all of these dollar signs we don't need. And these arrows we don't need. Done. So if we did that correctly, okay, build successful. Let's see if it shows. There you go. So it's correctly pulling the data in from our prop here. And we have to work on the links. Let's work on the links. Okay. So the first thing is this link. Now this is going to the edit endpoint. And to do that, we're going to bind it to, so the endpoint is testimonials /id/edit. So was this testimonial.id? Yes, testimonial plus /edit. /edit. That looks good to me. Let's see if that works. Front end, see if edit. And it works. Okay, cool. Let's work on the next one, which is delete, I believe. Let's put the create back in there. That's outside of the component, so it should be in here. Yeah, let's just make another create underneath here. Okay. There you go. And now let's work on delete. Back to our component. Okay, I think the endpoint here is testimonials. It's the same as edit, but we're making a delete request instead. So, okay. Okay. Now this right here, let's keep this one commented out. This right here, method field delete, all that's doing in Laravel is this. Input type equals hidden, name equals method, value equals delete. It's just saying that we're making a delete request. That looks good to me, so we don't need this. But the CSRF field, we can't do that in JavaScript. So here's what we'll do. In our master layout, let's specify the CSRF token here using PHP. Let's put it right here. And I have a code snippet. I'll just paste it in. And we'll just grab this value from our Vue component, since it's not part of the Vue instance. So to do that, let's make a data function here called data, and make sure we return an object. Let's call it CSRF, and let's just use some JavaScript query selector to grab it. And it was the meta, name equals CSRF token, and it's the content. Alright, that didn't work. That's because there's no comma. Okay, so let's see if we're getting the CSRF incorrectly. We can just use our Vue DevTools here. Did I refresh that? Yes, I did. And it's not getting it. Why not? That's because I spelled it wrong. Try again. And there's our CSRF. Cool. So now we can use that to populate our CSRF fields. So it would look something like, so again, it'd be another hidden field. Hidden name this time would be underscore token. And the value is, we're binding the value because we have that in our, specified in our data, in our Vue instance, and it's just CSRF. So that built correctly, so now we should be able to delete. I don't want to delete any of these, so let's make a new one, delete that one. The front end one, create, Andre, this is my quote. Let's just make it 9. Okay, so that created, we'll see it in both tables. In the backend table, Andre, this is my quote. And also in this table over here. Let's go ahead and delete it. Let's edit worked. Let's see if delete works. It did not. This is the wrong URL. It's just this. Yes. Oh, I forgot to bind it. Yeah, it has to be bound. Okay. So let's try deleting it. And there we go. So we successfully have this working as a Vue component. And now let's get this working with the draggable component. Let's go ahead and import our draggable component because we haven't done so yet. So right here we would do import draggable from Vue Draggable. And let's make sure to specify the components in here. Components. And let's call it draggable. Okay. So now, the way that this draggable component works, definitely give the documentation a good read through, but let me just show you how to do it here. So you're supposed to wrap it around the parent element that we're trying to iterate over. So we're iterating over TRs. So we're supposed to wrap it using a draggable element here, component. And this is going to be replaced with the T-body element, which we'll specify. Okay, so the first option is the list that we're dragging over. So that would be testimonials. Testimonials. The next would be the options, which we will leave blank for now, but I'll set a few in a second. And the next option is we're going to bind it to, this is the element that's going to replace the draggable component. Like I said, it should be T-body. Testimonials. And with, there's an error. I think this has to be an empty object. Yes. Okay, so if you did that correctly, then they should be draggable. Yes, hopefully. Let's see. So you can drag them, but you can't make them stick yet. That's because we're trying to modify our prop here. The testimonials array comes in, and when we drag it, it's reordering the array, which is changing the prop. In Vue, props should not be mutable. So to fix that, we have to make a data element and pass in the prop there and use that data element instead of the prop. So let's name it testimonials new. Let's assign it the prop, this dot testimonials. comma, testimonials. Okay, and now in our here, testimonials new, also here, let's use testimonials new. And now we should be able to drag things around if we did it correctly. So let's move Barack up. There you go. So make sure, always, you cannot mutate props. Make sure you specify a data element and assign the prop to that data element. Now we can drag things around. Nice. You can see what's happening here is we're modifying this, so you'll see. So Wayne Gretzky is currently the first one. You'll see if I move Michael Jordan up there, they'll swap. There you go, you'll see that happen. Cool. So one option I want to specify, you can see the dragging sort of happens. I'd like there to be like sort of an animation, so we can actually specify that in the options. So if we do animation, let's say 200 milliseconds, sorry, and save that. Now there's going to be a sort of animation delay, which makes it more smooth in my opinion. See? One more option I want to show you is if you don't want the whole thing to be draggable, you just want to specify a certain selector that you want to be draggable, you can do that as well. So in the options, we can specify a handle, and let's call it my handle. Okay. So now we can't drag it. We only can drag the CSS selector my handle. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's make another column. Let's name it sort, and let's put another table data down here. And let's just use font awesome here. I think the class is FA arrows and my handle. Okay, see if that worked. See, so that's the icon there. And now we can drag it around with that selector. One thing we can also do is specify is style. No, it's app. That's the app.sass. Let's just my handle. Let's just change the cursor. Cursor move. Okay. There you go. Just so give some nice UI feedback there for the user. Awesome. Now we can drag things around. Let's talk about the order here for a sec. So as you see, when we rearrange the objects here, the order comes along with it. Well, that makes sense because we're just manipulating the array and moving the indexes of the array around, right? It seems to me what we want to happen when we're ordering it is if we put this one up here, we always want the order to be in ascending order, and then we'll pass that to the backend, and the backend will update the order accordingly. I hope that makes sense. So whatever we drag here, we will always want this to be in ascending order. So let me show you how to do that. We need, first of all, we need an event that catches that whenever we drag something and drop it. So how do we do that? The event is called change. So whenever that happens, we're going to call an update method. So let's make a new methods here. And let's make a new one called update. Don't forget the comma. Update. And let's just console log for now. Update. Okay. Let's just make sure that's firing. Did it refresh? Yes, it did. Okay. Let's just make sure it fires every time we let go. There we go. Okay, so now let's make this always in ascending order. So it seems to me like we want to iterate over the array. So the array that we're iterating over is the testimonials new. And we want to map over each one, and that will give us a testimonial and an index. And for each one, I forgot for each one we want to set the order property. So the order is just going to be the index. And we want to start at 1, so index plus 1. And since we have two-way data binding in Vue, that should update it accordingly. So it should always be in ascending order like we want it. So once I drag like this one up to here, the order is going to change. It's not. That's because we forgot to specify the order. That's why. Let's try that again. Okay. There you go, see? Every time we drag something, the order is always going to be in the order that we want. It's always going to be ascending. It's always going to start at 1. Sorry. So after we drag and reorder, our front end has the representation of how we want our back end to look like. So at this point, after dragging some rows around, we have our testimonials new array on the front end, and this is how we want the order to be on the back end, right? So we have to make an AJAX request after this statement is executed. So we're gonna make an AJAX request. We're using Axios. Now I'm gonna use put, and I'll explain why I'm using put in a second once we get to our backend code. So the endpoint is going to be admin testimonials, and let's just name it update all, and we'll go into Laravel in a second. And we are going to be passing in our testimonials, and we're going to pass in this testimonials new. And then if you want, you can do something with the response. Okay, but we're not going to do anything with response. Maybe if you want to flash a success message or something like that, and you can go ahead and do that here. So let's make this endpoint in our Laravel code. So let's go into our routes file. Let's make a new one. Just copy this one. Let's change it to put, and let's rename it to update all is what I named it. And it'll be testimonial controller, update all, admin. Okay. And let's go to our actual controller. Where's the update file? Update method is right here. Let's copy this one. And let's change it accordingly. Okay. We don't need a testimonial because we're going to be updating not just one, but all of them. So we don't have to pass in the specific testimonial. We're not going to be doing any validation here. And we don't need this. Okay. let's just return a successful response when it's completed. Okay, let's just die and dump request testimonials to make sure we're getting the correct data, if I can spell it correctly. Okay, let's see if we're hitting that endpoint correctly from our Vue instance. I forgot to rename it. Update all. Okay, so let's go into our network tab and see if we get a successful message once we drag one around. See, okay. So now we are passing in what I move. I move Wayne Gretzky up here. So you can see the thing we're passing in is the representation of how we want our database to look like. So this right here is how we want our entire testimonials model and all the rows to look like. So one approach which you can do is you can actually just truncate the entire table and just rebuild it based on this variable that's coming in. That's why I did a put request initially, because a put request is supposed to replace the entire resource, while a patch request only replaces a part of that resource. So if you're taking this approach, you can make it a put request. So how would that look like? So like I said, we're gonna truncate, testimonial truncate. So we're going to delete all the rows in the table and just rebuild it from scratch. Okay. Now we'll just iterate over each. Let's see, request testimonials. And yeah, we don't need the key. So as testimonial. And all we're going to do here is just testimonial create, and we're just going to rebuild it based on the thing that's coming in from the request. So let's just make that an array. Oops. So we would do ID is the first one, and the thing that's coming in is named testimonial. Make sure you're using an array here because an array is coming in. And then I think just 4 others. Let's just do this quickly. Name, testimonial name, ID, quote is next, and then what's next? Visible, and then order. Let's just make this one true by default. And that should do it. Hopefully that works. Let's see. Let's close this, let's refresh. So we have Jordan and then Gretzky. If we do that, oops, sorry. Let's see if, let's just refresh it. Does it stay up there? It does not. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. Oh, we forgot to take out the die and dump. I'm sorry. Sorry for all these mistakes. But this is an accurate representation of real-life programming, even with all my edits. Okay, now see if this works. We're going to move Gretzky on top of Jordan. That was successful. If I refresh, let's see if Gretzky stays on top of Jordan. He does, so it did work. So you can see in the backend side, it worked. So now let's just test this some more. Let's move my quote all the way on top. And let's refresh again. There you go. My quote stays on top, so you know it's working. Also, if you want to see the landing page, you can see that my quote appears here first. Now, is this a bad thing to do? I mean, we're calling it update action, but we're really truncating and then rebuilding it. In my opinion, it's not the worst in the world. It does work, and it makes sense to me in my mind. But if you want to take a different approach, where you're actually updating each field in the database without truncating it, then we can go ahead and do that as well. So let's comment this out, and let's work on a solution for that. So for this approach, since we're not truncating the database, we need to grab all the testimonials from the backend. So let's go ahead and do that. Testimonials equals testimonial all. And now we're going to have to iterate through each one of these, search the front end array that's coming in, and if the IDs match, then we update it. So there's going to be a loop within a loop here. We're doing it iteratively. It's probably a better way to do it using collections, but this is my solution for now. So for each testimonials as testimonial, again, this is from the backend, from the database. Let's grab that ID because we're going to need that in our second loop, testimonial ID. Now, let's also iterate through the front end array that's coming in, request testimonials as, let's name it testimonial front end. So now we're going to iterate through each one of these front end arrays, each one of these front end items, and if the ID matches, which there will be a match. So if testimonial front end, the ID of that equals ID that we saved up there, then we go ahead and update it. So for this, we'll update the testimonial from the backend, and we'll just use the update method. And we want to update just the order. And the order is going to be the testimonial front end and order. That should work the same way the other one worked. Let's see if that did work. Okay, so let's open the network tag again. Let's move Einstein on top of me. And that worked. And if we refresh, it should stay there. Now I've realized I haven't been showing you guys the database. I'm sorry. Let me show you the database to prove to you that it works. So Einstein should be first. It should be right here. We order it by that. Sorry, other way. Other way. There you go. Einstein's first, then me, then Gretzky, then Jordan, and Seuss. So let's do one more. Dr. Seuss on top. So if we refresh this, Dr. Seuss is on top, and the order is preserved. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is, or one con of doing it this way is that the timestamps are always going to be changed every time we drag an item. Now, if you don't care about timestamps, it doesn't really matter. But if you do care about timestamps, then that's going to change every time we drag an item around. Now for this, it's also going to change. At least the updated at field is going to change. So this is going to change. But if you don't want it to change, you can just do something like, oh sorry, in here, you can just do testimonial timestamps equals false. So I actually had another example that I wanted to do. If I go through the examples on Sortable, I wanted to play around with multiple lists, and I just wanted to play around some more with Vue Draggable and Vue in general, since Vue is still kind of fairly new to me, and I just want to get my hands dirty. If I don't get lazy, I'll continue with that example in another video. If not, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. I'll make the code available on GitHub because I probably skipped over a few things, and you can just take a look at the code yourself. Thanks so much again. Please like, please comment, please subscribe. See you guys in the next one. Okay, thanks. Bye.